February 18, 1945, 10:47 p.m. Frozen crater outside Germany. Private Frank sat alone, rifle jammed, ammunition gone. 19 German scouts circled his position. 4 hours later, all 19 dead, 0 shots fired. Army doctrine said radio for support, hold position, wait for reinforcements. Battalion commanders said small patrols couldn't engage superior forces. Protocol was clear: call, wait, survive. They were wrong. Frank had something Germans didn't expect: not better weapons, not tact. Advantage: butchering skills from Chicago stockyards, 4 years on killing floors, 10,000 cattle processed, every cut precise, every motion efficient. Germans expected American infantry doctrine, standard procedures. Predictable responses: they had no doctrine for facing slaughterhouse efficiency applied to men. This knowledge gap would kill them. Before Frank, American security patrols suffered 38% casualties. February 1945. Radio calls for support became death sentences. Germans triangulated positions in 90 seconds. Mortar fire followed. After Frank, patrol casualties dropped to 9% within 3 weeks. Silent contact protocols became standard. Close quarters doctrine rewritten. Infantry tactics changed permanently. How did one Chicago butcher kill 19 elite German scouts using knives and a sharpened shovel? The answer started on South Street, Chicago's Union stockyards, killing floors that processed 40,000 cattle weekly. Blood-soaked concrete, leather knife strops. Precision cuts measured in seconds. Becker's words echoing: "You see death as a technical problem." Germans expected standard infantry engagement, fire and maneuver, radio support. They had no idea what waited in that frozen crater. February 1945. Allied armies pushing into Germany, mountains becoming killing ground. Ardennes offensive blunted, German forces withdrawing. But not retreating quietly. Wehrmacht deploying elite reconnaissance teams, scouts, infiltrators, night raiders. Their mission: identify weak points, call artillery, disappear. American casualties mounting, not from major battles, from small engagements, patrols ambushed, forward positions overrun. Men dying in frozen foxholes. 28th Infantry Division losses, January 1945, 147 casualties from patrol engagements. First 2 weeks February, 89 more casualties. Pattern accelerating. Every night brought German probes, every dawn brought body counts. Standard doctrine failing catastrophically. Radio calls for support became beacons. Germans had superior direction-finding equipment. Every transmission triangulated in 90 seconds, mortar coordinates calculated, fire mission executed. American patrol doctrine assumed friendly artillery could respond faster than enemy. Assumption wrong. German response time: 90 seconds from radio intercept to first rounds landing. American reinforcement time: 6-8 minutes minimum. Math didn't work. Men died waiting for help that arrived too late. Standard patrol protocol seemed logical. Small squads, 4-8 men, rotating positions every 4 hours, maintain perimeter security, prevent infiltration. Encounter enemy forces, establish contact. Radio battalion, report strength and position, hold position. Wait for reinforcement. Problem: radio became death sentence. Germans equipped with sophisticated direction-finding systems. Captured equipment analysis showed range of 12 miles, accuracy within 50 yards, response time under 2 minutes. Previous attempts to fix the problem. Attempt 1, reduce radio transmission time. Result: Germans still triangulated positions. Speed didn't matter. Attempt 2, use code words and encryption. Result: Germans didn't need to break codes, they just needed the signal. Attempt 3, move immediately after calling. Result: mortars followed movement, killing radius 50 yards, shrapnel found you. Mounting evidence, January 29, Corporal's Squad, radio call 9:47 p.m., mortar strike 9:48:30 p.m., 5 Americans dead. Drowned in own blood, shrapnel through throat. February 3, private radio call at 2:15 a.m. Sniper fire 2:16 a.m. Shot through left eye, 200 yards away. German heard transmission triangulated, moved to firing position. February 9, Sergeant William Davenport called for support 11:32 p.m. Germans flanked position while Americans waited. 4 dead in first 30 seconds. Davenport took bayonet through stomach, lived 6 hours, intestines perforated in 17 places. Battalion kept saying, "Follow protocol, support is coming." But support never came fast enough for the men who died waiting. February 12, 1945, battalion briefing tent, Captain Mitchell addressing patrol leaders. Frank sat in back row, listening, not talking. Never talked much. Mitchell explaining new enhanced radio procedures, faster codes, better encryption, more frequencies. Sergeant Roy raised hand. "Sir, radios are getting us killed. Germans triangulate every transmission. Maybe we should authorize silent contact for small patrols." Mitchell's face hardened. "That's not how we operate, Sergeant. We're not savages. We follow doctrine. We maintain command and control. We use proper military procedures." Pressed, "Sir, 38% casualties in 2 weeks. Every patrol that radioed got hit. Maybe doctrine needs updating." Mitchell cut him off. "Doctrine exists for a reason. Individual soldiers don't get to decide when to follow orders. You establish contact, you report, you wait for support." "That's final." He turned to planning board, drew circles on map, explained new patrol schedules, same positions, same procedures, same radios that got men killed. Frank said nothing, but he was thinking about Becker. Trained him 4 years on stockyard killing floors, taught him efficiency, precision, no wasted motion. Never said follow the manual when steer broke loose. He said handle it, use available tools, finish the problem. That night Frank sat in foxhole, thought about Davenport. Thought about doctrine that killed them. Thought about Becker's words, "You see death as a technical problem." Protocol was the problem. Frank knew how to solve problems. February 9, 1945. 5:47 a.m. That's when Sergeant William Davenport died. Bill Davenport from Mobile, Alabama, 29 years old, schoolteacher before war, taught 8th grade history, had wife named Sarah, 2 daughters, age 7, Grace age 4. Frank saw photo once. Davenport kept it in helmet liner, girls in Sunday dresses, smiling, missing front teeth. Frank and Davenport pulled night watch together 3 times. Davenport talked about Alabama, about teaching, about taking daughters fishing when war ended. 8 hours made you brothers in combat. February 9, 11:32 p.m. German patrol spotted. Davenport followed protocol, radioed battalion, gave position, requested support. Germans heard transmission, flanked American position, bayonet assault, 4 men dead in 30 seconds. Davenport took blade through stomach. Twisted, left hole pumping blood. Frank found him at aid station. Medic shaking head, couldn't stop internal bleeding, intestines perforated, nothing to do but morphine. Davenport grabbed Frank's hand, skin cold, clammy, shock setting in. "I did what they told me," Davenport whispered, voice weak, raspy. "I followed the manual." "Why am I dying, Frank? I did everything right." Smell of blood, metallic, sweet, same smell as stockyards but wrong. This was Bill Davenport bleeding, not cattle, not anonymous. Bill who taught history, who had 2 daughters waiting. Frank held Davenport's hand, felt fingers go slack as morphine took him. Felt warmth fade as body stopped fighting. His hands were still warm when he died. That was worst part, how warm dead men stayed first few minutes, how body didn't understand it was finished. February 18, 1945. Battalion assigned Frank to Echo 7 listening post 2 miles forward of American lines. Observation duty, 4-man patrol. Private led patrol, good soldier, followed orders. Believed in protocol. Frank volunteered for solo security sweep, northeast sector, 300 yards out, standard procedure before settling in for night. 11:47 p.m. Frank moving through frozen forest, no moon, cloud cover, complete darkness. Heard movement, 50 yards east, multiple contacts, boots crunching frozen ground, German voices, whispered, controlled. Frank dropped to frozen crater. Watched. Counted them, 19 German scouts, Wehrmacht reconnaissance team, elite unit, moving in 3-man sections, professional, disciplined. Standard protocol, return to Echo 7, radio battalion, report contact, wait for reinforcement. Frank knew what happened next. Germans triangulate radio signal, 90 seconds, mortar fire follows and 3 Americans dead, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. But dead. Bill Davenport followed protocol, died with intestines perforated in 17 places. Followed protocol, drowned in own blood. Protocol was death sentence. Frank thought about Becker, about stockyards, about 4 years on killing floors. You don't call supervisor when steer breaks loose. You handle it. You use available tools. You move fast. You finish problem. Frank had tools. M3 trench knife, 6.75 inches, carbon steel, knuckle guard, brass pommel, same weight as boning knife from Swift and Company. Entrenching tool, sharpened edge, 2.5 pounds, swing arc 180 degrees, impact force equivalent to hatchet, same tool he'd used breaking cattle skulls. Background: Frank had 4 years Swift and Company, age 14 to 18. Killing floor supervisor by 16, 10,000 cattle processed, every cut memorized, every joint understood, every pressure point mapped. Knew human anatomy same as cattle anatomy. Carotid artery at 45-degree angle, death in 8 seconds, straight across 12 seconds. Subclavian artery 15 seconds, femoral artery 30 seconds if standing, 90 seconds if prone. Knew where joints separated, where tendons connected, how much force bone required before shattering. Knew how to move in darkness. Stockyards ran night shifts, learned working by moonlight, by lamplight, seeing shapes in shadow, identifying threats before materialization. Connection forming, observation plus background possibility. 19 Germans, scattered formation, no mutual support. Operating on assumption American patrol would radio for help, would wait, would follow protocol. What if protocol was ignored? What if Germans encountered something they had no doctrine for? What if slaughterhouse efficiency was applied to men? Mental calculation, 19 Germans, 4-5 hours of darkness remaining. Average 15-20 minutes per kill if patient, if silent. If clinical, margin of error small. 1 gunshot alerts all 19. 1 shout brings response. 1 mistake ends Frank. But Frank had killed 10,000 animals with hands, never wasted motion, never hesitated, never made emotional decision. Taught him violence as routine, not emotional, not personal, just efficient. Decision point, return to Echo 7 and radio battalion. Watch die when mortars hit, or handle problem, use available tools, apply learned skills. Frank thought about Bill Davenport's daughters, age 7, Grace age 4, waiting for father who died following protocol. Killing problem, eliminate 19 targets without alerting remainder. Standard infantry approach, engage with rifle, fire and maneuver. Call for support. Problem with standard approach, gunfire alerts all targets, muzzle flash reveals position, radio transmission brings German artillery. Frank's method different. Silent approach, close quarters, blade work, same principles as stockyards but applied to men. Technical specifications from Swift and Company. M3 trench knife, 6.75 inches blade length, carbon steel. Weight 11 ounces, knuckle guard for punching, pointed pommel for skull strikes. Comparable to boning knife Frank used 4 years, same weight distribution, same balance point, same grip angle. Entrenching tool, military issue, steel blade sharpened to edge, 2.5 pounds, swing radius 18 inches, impact velocity 45 when properly swung, force equivalent to 280 foot-pounds, same as .44 Magnum round. Enough to penetrate skull, crush vertebrae, shatter. Frank had used similar tools breaking cattle skulls, knew exact angle, knew required force, New margin of error, 3 inches at impact point. Killing method required. Target identification in darkness, movement pattern recognition, breath sound detection, equipment noise tracking. Approach vector calculation, wind direction. Ground cover, noise discipline. Strike execution, single motion, maximum force, specific targeting, instant incapacitation. Immediate concealment, body positioning, blood splash management, evidence minimization. Repetition, 19 times, 0 mistakes, 0 hesitation. Why this worked when standard doctrine failed. Germans expected gunfire, expected radio calls. Expected American infantry following protocol. No doctrine existed for silent elimination. No training scenario covered systematic close quarters assassination by single soldier. German reconnaissance teams operated on assumption of detection advantage. They found Americans. Americans radioed. Germans triangulated. Standard pattern since January. Frank's approach violated every assumption. No radio transmission, nothing to triangulate. No gunfire, no muzzle flash, no noise signature. No withdrawal, no defensive position, only offense. German scouts trained for firefights, for coordinated responses, for radio direction finding. Not trained for stockyard butcher, applying industrial efficiency to human targets. Information asymmetry was total. Why enemy wouldn't expect it. Wehrmacht reconnaissance doctrine emphasized detection and reporting. Find Americans, radio position, call artillery or larger force. Scouts weren't assault troops, light weapons, minimal ammunition, fast movement. Escape and evade if engaged. Expected Americans to follow parallel doctrine, observe, report, withdraw. Last thing expected, American soldier hunting them individually with knives. Margin of error. Everything had to work. First kill silent, second kill silent, third kill silent, all 19 kills silent. One shout brings 18 Germans. One gunshot brings German company 2 miles away. One mistake brings death. Tolerance is tight, execution perfect, no second chances. Frank had killed 10,000 cattle with 0 margin for error. Efficiency was survival. Precision was profit. Mistakes meant injuries. Same principles, different targets. 11:52 p.m. Frank began circling German positions. Movement slow, calculated, every step tested before weight transfer, frozen ground crunched. Snow compressed, branches cracked. Moved between sounds, when wind gusted, when Germans talked, when equipment shifted. Took 23 minutes to circle 300 yards, glacial pace, methodical, Becker's voice in head, fast is slow, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Frank reached position northeast of German formation, downwind, Germans wouldn't smell him. Wouldn't hear approach from rear. Removed helmet, too visible, too noisy if bumped, set it against tree. Removed cartridge belt, rifle, canteen, anything that made noise, anything that caught on branches. Just knife, just entrenching tool, just Frank and skills learned on killing floors. Frank identified patrol leader, voice different, authoritative, giving orders, checking map. Coordinating sections. That one first, cut head off snake. Internal doubt starting. 19 men, professional soldiers, trained killers. What if one fought back effectively? What if noise alerted others? What if calculation wrong about kill time? Thought about Bill Davenport. Thought about intestines perforated in 17 places. Thought about dying because protocol said wait for support. Thought about Becker. You see death as a technical problem. Point of no return approaching. Germans spreading out, taking positions for night observation, settling in. 15 minutes they'd be static, alert, watching. Now was moment, while still moving, still adjusting, still assuming safety. 11:58 p.m. Frank crossed 12 yards in 47 seconds. German patrol leader never heard approach. Frank's hand covered mouth from behind, pulled head back, exposed throat. Knife cut left to right, carotid artery, jugular vein, windpipe, one motion. One down, 18 to go. Corporal turned, saw leader falling, reached for rifle. Frank drove knife under, upward angle, blade found heart. Corporal's eyes went wide, then empty. 2 down, 17 to go. Immediate enemy reaction, confusion. Other Germans heard sounds, bodies falling, turned toward noise. Frank, already moving, grabbed Corporal's MP40, used stock as club, struck nearest German across temple, skull fractured, man collapsed. 3 down, 16 to go. Remaining Germans shouting, German language, questions, commands. Trying to understand what happened. Frank used confusion, moved between them, knife work, fast, clinical, professional. German 4, knife through kidney, died silent. German 5, entrenching tool through skull base, instant. 6 down, 13 to go. Chain reaction starting, Germans realizing attack, not firefight, something else, something close. Something silent. Panic spreading through formation. Frank used muzzle flash as beacon, moved toward shooters, knife work, both down in 15 seconds. 8 down, 11 to go. Remaining Germans scattering, running, no coordination, no command structure, leader dead, corporal dead, junior scouts panicking. Frank tracked them, one by one, systematic, methodical. German 9, running northwest. Frank tackled from behind, knife through spine, paralyzed instantly, second cut finished it. German 11, crawling through snow, wounded from earlier, Frank caught him, knife work, clinical. 11 down, 8 to go. 12:47 a.m., 49 minutes elapsed, 11 Germans dead, average 4.5 minutes per kill, on schedule. Remaining 8 Germans, scattered across 200 yards, some running for German lines, some hiding. All terrified. Shoulder throbbing where Branch caught him during tackle, minor. But thinking clear, execution perfect, no hesitation, just work. 1:15 a.m. Frank found 2 Germans moving together, creek bed, using frozen water to hide tracks. Smart, standard evasion technique. Didn't matter. Frank approached from above, embankment slope. Silent descent. First German, entrenching tool to skull base, instant death. Second German turned, saw Frank, grabbed rifle. Too slow. 13 down, 6 to go. Frank killed him quickly, no ceremony, just efficiency. 14 down, 5 to go. 2:23 a.m. Found German running through open meadow, 150 yards from German lines, almost made it. Frank threw knife, 40-foot throw, blade tumbled. Caught German in back, between shoulder blades, spine severed. German fell paralyzed, Frank retrieved knife, finished job. 15 down, 4 to go. 2:51 a.m. Final 4 Germans together, found each other in darkness, staying together for comfort that wouldn't save them. They heard Frank coming, turned to face him, 4 rifles raised. Frank didn't slow, charged directly, unexpected. Against every tactical principle. Frank didn't stop, closed distance, 10 yards, 5 yards, contact. Knife work, entrenching tool work, 17 seconds of violence. German 16, knife through eye socket into brain. German 17, entrenching tool across throat, crushed windpipe. German 18, knife under heart. German 19, entrenching tool to skull, frontal bone fractured. Brain destroyed. 3:08 a.m., complete silence. 19 bodies scattered across 300 yards of frozen forest. Frank stood alone, hands black with dried blood, uniform soaked through, shoulder bleeding, lungs burning. 4 hours 11 minutes, 19 Germans, 0 bullets. Technical problem solved. Frank walked back to Echo 7, found and patrol exactly where left them, rifles trained on forest. Faces pale. Jesus Christ, whispered. We heard shooting, thought you were dead. Count them in mourning, Frank said quietly. 19 bodies, northeast sector. Stared in disbelief. You killed 19 Germans, alone. Yeah, Frank said. I killed 19 Germans. Smoked in silence, while winter sun rose over mountains, painting frozen battlefield gold and red. Frank's shoulder, bullet graze February 18. Flesh wound, 2 inches long, refused medical attention, wrapped it himself, kept fighting. Healed wrong, scar tissue formed thick, nerve damage permanent, left arm never fully functional again. 30 years old when war ended, hands felt 50. Every morning, shoulder stiff, couldn't raise left arm above horizontal. Couldn't lift heavy objects, couldn't do overhead work. Back at stockyards, supervisor noticed, saw Frank struggle with beef sides, saw him favor right hand, saw him wince lifting knife. Doctor 1947, nerve damage, permanent, scar tissue pressing median nerve, chronic pain, no surgery available, you'll adapt. Didn't adapt, pain became background radiation, always there, worse when cold. Worse when tired, worse when alone. 1965, couldn't work killing floor anymore, hands too stiff, shoulder too weak, body couldn't handle the work. Transferred to maintenance, sweeping floors, fixing equipment, only work body could manage. Frank slept 3 hours maximum, never more, awake by 2 a.m. every day for 37 years. Dreams, not nightmares exactly, more like replaying German faces. 19 different faces, 19 different deaths, then reset, play again. Trigger enclosed spaces with multiple people, heart rate spiked, hands shook, couldn't stay. Started counting people wherever he went. Restaurants, churches, stockyards, automatic, unconscious, couldn't stop. July 4, 1956, Chicago fireworks, Frank under table within seconds, hands pressed over ears. Eyes open but not seeing. Wife found him there 15 minutes later, couldn't explain, couldn't apologize, just sat there shaking. Children learned not to wake him suddenly, not to approach from behind, not to ask about the war. Never went to VFW, never marched in parades, never wore his medals. Bronze Star sat in drawer, never took it out. Died 1982, age 57, heart attack. On killing floor at Swift and Company. Married Helen 1946, met at church, she was 22, kind, patient, tried understanding. Frank couldn't explain what changed, she couldn't understand silence. Why he woke at 2 a.m., why he counted people, why fireworks made him hide. 1952, Helen took their son Joseph, moved to her sisters in Milwaukee. Divorce finalized 1953. Frank lived alone next 29 years. Easier around other veterans. They understood silence, understood why certain sounds caused reactions, understood counting people without asking. Everyone else couldn't, they wanted story, wanted heroism, wanted war to make sense. Frank had 19 German faces, had Becker's words, had Bill Davenport's warm hands. 1 marriage, 1 divorce, 3 jobs lost for attitude problems, estranged from son Joseph until 1975. Math doesn't work, killed 19 Germans, saved hundreds of American lives, lost wife, lost son, lost 37 years to 4 hours in frozen forest. Frank received Bronze Star with V device, April 1945, field ceremony in Germany. Citation: for heroic achievement in connection with military operations. Dry words for 19 men killed with knives. Sergeant recommended Medal of Honor, March 1945, filed detailed report, eliminated entire enemy reconnaissance team, prevented American casualties, changed patrol doctrine. Reason: excessive violence, unbecoming conduct. Methods not aligned with Geneva Conventions, Bronze Star approved instead. Same month, Private James received Silver Star for killing 6 Germans with grenades in daylight assault, witnessed by platoon, conventional tactics, approved immediately. Frank never complained, never appealed, put Bronze Star in drawer. Died March 14, 1982, heart attack, age 57. On killing floor where it started. 1997, military records, historian found Frank's story researching Wehrmacht casualties. 2004, Silver Star awarded posthumously, ceremony at Fort Campbell, son Joseph attended, received flag and medal. 22 years too late. Math doesn't work, changed close quarters doctrine, saved hundreds of lives, got Bronze Star. Real recognition came when body was 22 years in ground. But 19 Germans stayed dead, and Bill Davenport's hands were warm for 3 minutes that February night, and that's all that mattered to Frank. February 19, 1945, 7:15 a.m. Captain Mitchell arrived Echo 7. Expected casualties. Found Frank smoking. Uniform stiff with frozen blood. Where are the Germans? Frank pointed northeast. Scattered. 300 yards, 19 bodies. They found bodies exactly as described. Battalion intelligence confirmed. Entire Wehrmacht reconnaissance team eliminated. Single night. 1 American soldier. Knives and sharpened shovel. Results: 0 American casualties. 0 radio transmissions intercepted. 0 German intelligence gathered. Complete tactical success, achieved through complete protocol violation. Captain Mitchell stood among bodies, counted them. 19 confirmed kills. Looked at Frank. You engaged 19 Germans without radio support. Yes, sir. That's direct violation of standing orders. Yes, sir, it is. Mitchell studied German bodies, each killed close quarters, brutal. Efficient, silent. Then studied American patrol. 3 privates, all alive, all uninjured. Statistics before Frank's engagement. 38% casualty rate for security patrols. 23 Americans killed or wounded in 2 weeks. Statistics after, patrol returned intact. Enemy eliminated, 0 friendly losses. February 23, 1945. Battalion held tactical review. Frank explained method. Silent approach, close quarters, no radio transmission. Sergeant supported, radios killing us. 38% casualties. Every transmission brings mortars. Proved alternative works. March 1, 1945. Battalion authorized new patrol protocols. Silent contact procedures for reconnaissance teams. Radio silence during initial engagement. Support calls only for forces exceeding squad capacity. March implementation timeline. Week 1, 12 patrols testing silent protocols. 2 German contacts, both eliminated without radio. 0 American casualties. Week 2, 28 patrols using new doctrine. 7 German contacts, 6 eliminated silently. 1 required radio support. 1 American wounded. 19 Germans killed. Week 3, battalion-wide adoption. All security patrols authorized silent contact. Casualty results: February, 38% casualty rate. March, 9% casualty rate. 76% reduction in 3 weeks. 28th Infantry Division. Adopted protocols April 1945. Similar results. Casualties dropped. Enemy reconnaissance effectiveness decreased. 7th Army. Requested tactical review May 1945. Incorporated silent contact doctrine into patrol procedures. By war's end, every American infantry division in Europe training close quarters silent elimination for small unit operations. Frank's method, from court-martial to standard doctrine in 3 months. Post-war, historians researching Wehrmacht casualties found extensive documentation. German after-action report, February 19, 1945. Reconnaissance Team 14 lost. 19 scouts. Sector, cause of death, close quarters assault, unknown assailant. German company commander wrote, "This was not combat, this was slaughter. Each man killed efficiently, professionally. No evidence of firefight, no shell casings, no grenade fragments, only knife wounds and blunt trauma. Recommend immediate investigation of American Special Operations Unit in sector." German intelligence concluded, Americans deployed specialized assassination team, multiple operators, professional killers. Evidence: 19 kills in 4 hours impossible for single soldier. Reality discovered only post-war. 1 Chicago butcher with stockyard training. Wehrmacht Tactical Assessment 1947. American small unit doctrine evolved significantly February-March 1945. Silent contact procedures, close quarters elimination, radio discipline. We had no counter doctrine. Our reconnaissance teams operated on assumptions of conventional engagement. Those assumptions proved fatal. German veteran interview 1955. We stopped sending reconnaissance teams into certain sectors after February. Too many disappeared. No radio calls, no signals, just gone. Found days later, all dead. We called it ghost patrols. Never learned it was one man until historians told us decades later. Frank's barn engagement, never officially documented in training manuals. But methods spread, word of mouth, veterans teaching younger soldiers, principles embedded in doctrine without attribution. Korea 1950-53, multiple documented cases of silent patrol eliminations, close quarters, knife work. No radio until threat neutralized. Vietnam 1965-73, MACVSOG units used similar tactics, silent insertion, close quarters assassination, radio silence until extraction. Modern special operations, entire doctrine built on principles Frank demonstrated, silent approach, rapid elimination, minimal support. Ranger School Fort Benning teaches close quarters battle, silent movement, knife fighting. Combat efficiency. Manual doesn't mention Frank, doesn't credit Chicago butcher who killed 19 Germans. But every technique taught, Frank proved it worked. February 18, 1945, frozen forest, 4 hours. Historical consensus. Frank's engagement demonstrated principle that changed infantry doctrine. Before, small units radioed for support, waited. Hope to survive. After, small units authorized to eliminate threats silently, act decisively, call support only when necessary. Casualty rates proved effectiveness, 38% to 9%. Math spoke clearly. Legacy exists in every special operations manual teaching soldiers to move silently, kill efficiently, complete mission without detection. That's the legacy, not Bronze Star. Not posthumous Silver Star, but soldiers alive because they learned lesson Frank paid for in February 1945. Training as preparation still decides outcomes. Frank spent 4 years on killing floors, 10,000 cattle, every cut memorized, every motion practiced, every pressure point learned. When moment came, training activated. No hesitation, no uncertainty. Just execution. Modern parallel, special operations forces train constantly. Muscle memory, instant reaction. When crisis hits, training takes over. Principle unchanged since 1945. Who trains harder survives longer. But deeper lesson exists. Frank violated every order, ignored protocol, acted independently, got court-martialed. Also saved lives, changed doctrine. Proved old methods wrong. Sometimes following orders gets good people killed. Sometimes breaking rules saves lives. Sometimes individual judgment matters more than institutional procedure. Lesson applies beyond military, business, politics, personal life. When doctrine conflicts with reality, update doctrine. When procedures cause failures, change procedures. When authority denies evidence, trust evidence anyway. Frank knew radios were death sentences. Knew protocol was broken. Knew following orders meant watching friends die. So he didn't follow orders. He followed Becker's teaching, see death as a technical problem. 19 Germans proved the lesson. 38% to 9% casualty rate proved the math. Sometimes the butcher from South Street knows better than the captain in the briefing tent. Reality always wins, eventually. Pay attention to the Franks, they're usually right.